Good to have you back with us here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary. Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team bring you this production. Well, we've had a little bit of time to digest the Republican debate that unfolded a couple of nights ago on CNN. I want to go now to Congressman Chris Van Hollen of Maryland and talk about some of the core issues that were ignored in that debate. Congressman, good to have you with us.
Always good to be with you, Ed.
Your thoughts? All the things that seem to be out there and the concerns of the American people were void in the conversation at the Reagan Library the other night. What do you think?
Totally ignored. People around the country are looking for job growth. They're looking for wage growth. We've had these stagnant flat wages for a long period of time now. It was silence when it came to the issues important to the American people. It was mostly the sort of red meat social issues, which we're seeing on the Hill with Republicans threatening to shut down the government in order to defund women's health programs and Planned Parenthood. So those are the kind of issues they were focused on rather than the economy, jobs, wages.
What about the conversation that unfolded about Planned Parenthood and possibly shutting down the government? John Kasich, I thought, governor of Ohio, brought some sanity to the debate. Here it is.
I think there's a way to get this done by giving governors the ability to be able to act to defund Planned Parenthood. But when it comes to closing down the federal government, we got to be very careful about that. When we shut the government down, if we have a chance of success, and it's a great principle, yes, the President of the United States is not going to sign this. And all we're going to do is shut the government down, and then we're going to open it up, and American people are going to shake their heads and say, what's the story with these Republicans?
The problem there, Congressman, is that he doesn't work in Washington. So what is the climate?
Well, that's exactly right. What's the story coming out of that is only one of the members of their panel was urging that the Republicans not shut down the government. The rest of them were prepared, it seemed, either aggressively or by their silence, to be willing to shut it down in order to shut down the Affordable Care Act. That's exactly what is wrong in Washington right now. Ted Cruz and the Tea Party folks are running the show. I remember 2 years ago, and I'm sure you do too, when Speaker Boehner said that they were not going to shut down the government, and then 2 weeks later, Ted Cruz rolled right over him, and they shut down the government that time in order to try and get rid of the Affordable Care Act, this time to try to defund women's health programs.
Congressman, are you confident that we will not have a government shutdown at this point, that maybe the Republicans realize that they can't afford to do that at this time, politically and also to the budget at $25 billion, or do they even care about that?
And I wish I could say I was confident, but I really think that despite the fact that you've got people like Speaker Boehner and Mitch McConnell who realize it would be a really stupid move for them and obviously bad for the country to shut down the government, they're not in control. Ted Cruz is in control just like he was 2 years ago. The only way to avoid this is for Speaker Boehner to reach out to Democrats, and we're happy to work with him to make sure the government stays open. I introduced the Prevent Government Shutdown Act just the other day that calls upon Speaker Boehner to appoint a bipartisan group of legislators, Republicans, Democrats, House, Senate. It also had a fail-safe mechanism saying that if we didn't get it done and we couldn't come to agreement, the government would remain open for the entire fiscal year at decent levels of funding. But Speaker Boehner has not come to us at all. He's been totally sort of AWOL when it comes to negotiations. So as of right now, I'm afraid the Ted Cruzes of the world are heading us over the cliff. Okay.
And if we shut the government down, how injurious would this be to the economy, if at all?
Very injurious, because we already know what happened just 2 years ago. Within a period of 16 days, there were $24 billion in losses to the economy, $24 billion. That's not my number. That's Standard & Poor's. Over 120,000 jobs were lost, were not created during that period of time. And the disruptions to the economy were huge. So they're playing with fire. As we said earlier, there was no discussion last night really about jobs and the economy. I will only say that what they're thinking of doing and shutting down the government would do great damage to jobs and the economy.
So at this hour, you're not confident that that shutdown can be averted? The crazies over on the right, you don't know what card they're going to play next, and America needs to prepare itself for something that might not be very good. I mean, that's basically where we are right now.
Well, that's exactly right, because Ted Cruz and Tea Party folks are in charge right now. They've got the momentum within the Republican caucus, and the only way out is for Speaker Boehner to come to his senses and come work with Democrats, work with the president to avoid it. But he's so afraid of losing his own job that he's prepared to allow the government to shut down, and Americans will lose theirs.
Congressman, finally, on the House Budget Committee, you know what the numbers are. Vladimir Putin obviously is in connection with Syria. They're building up a military air base there. There's a big discussion in Washington as to whether the president, the administration, should go face-to-face with Putin. He's going to be speaking at the UN. Give us a scenario that we can afford. Give us a scenario that would be a workable solution. Your thoughts on how to deal with this, what seems to be evolving into an international crisis and a showdown between Putin and Obama?
Well, they may see each other at the United Nations. I don't know if they'll actually meet or not. Look, in the Middle East, we need first and foremost, I believe, to make sure that ISIS does not continue to spread. ISIS is the major threat to the United States, and I think the president does have a strategy to prevent their continued expansion in Iraq and to hit them by air and support our Kurdish allies and others in Syria. So, my view is that is our top priority in the region right now.
Okay. Congressman Chris Van Hollen, good to have you with us. Thanks so much for joining us. You bet. Chris Van Hollen here on Ed Schultz News and Commentary.